If you've opened Substack, felt the wave of 1,000 buttons, and quietly close that tab, this video is for you, because here's the truth. Substack isn't complicated. It just looks complicated. And today we're popping the hood. I'm going to show you exactly how it works underneath, set the whole thing up with you click by click on a more meta level, and get you to your first post and your first subscribers. And my promise is, if you stick around to the end, you're also going to see one setting almost nobody turns on that is responsible for over 40% of new subscribers on the platform. So please don't miss it, as you're going to be leaving readers on the table if you're just getting started. If you feel confused and overwhelmed right now just by me telling you anything about Substack, that's totally normal. I felt exactly the same when I started in 2022, and I see it every single day with my members and coaching clients. You're definitely not behind. You're definitely not a dummy. You're just staring at a dashboard nobody has walked you through yet. So you need someone who has gone before you, and please let this person be me. The route we're driving through today would be that we're going to talk about what Substack actually is, your profile and your publication. We're going to nail your topic in one sentence. We're going to set it all up click by click, publishing your first post, and the discovery network is going to be something that I'm also going to be explaining. So the idea would be that you're going to grab your favorite beverage and let's go. So first, let's clear up what this thing even is, because almost everyone gets it wrong. I attended an event from a sports startup a few days back, and I said to them, hey, do you have a newsletter? They said, what, a newsletter? No, we have like Instagram, we have Facebook, you know what? And I said, yeah, well, but actually a newsletter, because you have like 50 people here in the room and one ticket is $500 or so for the whole day. And she said, no, we don't have it. And then I started talking about Substack, and I saw already in their faces, they had no clue what Substack was, what the newsletter was. And then I really tried to explain what it was. And this was like, let's say, the trigger for today's video. Because calling Substack a newsletter is like calling your phone a thing that makes calls. You know, the thing here, this makes calls. This is technically true, but it misses really the whole point, because Substack is in 2026 really more than this. We have so many tools, and all these tools are really in this one thingy here. Okay, especially there are like 3 tools fused into one. The first one is that it is an email tool, an email service provider, as for instance Kit or MailChimp. So this means you hit publish, your writing lands right in people's inboxes. This is the most intimate space you can have in 2026, besides sending SMS. Then 2, we have a blog. This means every post is also a web page Google can find, and not just Google. Also, when we're going to talk about not SEO, search engine optimization, but we're also going to talk about all the AI search engines now. You can also be found through this. So post you write today can pull in readers for years. This is the cool thing. Let me show you how this looks with my own publication. You can see this, for instance, here. This is my latest post. And I, of course, got this post in my inbox. This is then how it looks like in my inbox. I can scroll through this. As you can see, you also now see we have a new highlighting feature. So the highlighting feature is here in yellow, and there are specific sentences popping up that I highlighted. This is how it looks in my inbox. Then let's see how this story looks on my publication. That is my Substack newsletter, but my public Substack newsletter. This is it. You could like compare it, let's say, with your WordPress blog, or you could compare it if you started as I did in 2021 on Medium. You could, for instance, compare this to Medium. So this would be your newsletter, and then people could publicly also read this, and they, for instance, can also leave a comment. This was just like a few hours back. So people can then leave a comment, for instance, Juliana or Fleur or Mike, and so on and so on. And also they can click here on this restack icon, meaning they can share, for instance, something. And in addition to this, we have, as the third part of it, we have the social network. with its own feed. So for instance, whenever we're going to go on yoursubdomain.substack.com/notes, in my case, it's mycustomdomain.com/notes. Then we would come here. In this case, this is from Caroline. Caroline is one of my Substack for Beginners course members and also one of the Online Writing Club members. And she, for instance, she went viral with this one, Slow Love. I responded and I say, you know what? ASAP, for instance, this is not as soon as possible. It is now as slow as possible. So this is what Caroline lives, and she's now going viral. And this is a feed. We can, for instance, go on Caroline. And again, we can go on her Substack subdomain. We're going to go on notes. And then we can see what Caroline is sharing there. This is then your notes feed. We can go through the notes feed. She's, for instance, also sharing stuff for me. And then we can see what she is sharing here as an example. Yeah. And you see she has lots and lots of posts, short form posts here, thoughts here, inspirational quotes, photos from her dog, from her family. And these are the ones that people click. And it ended up now in this most viral post she has ever written, which is amazing. So we have also this built-in social network with its own feed called Substack Notes, where total strangers discover you. And these strangers, there are millions of strangers now. It's like the new kid on the block when it comes to Substack and Substack Notes, compared, for instance, to LinkedIn, where we were talking about billions of users. However, the cool thing really is that we are growing on Substack now, and we have really millions of people, millions of readers. And these are not just readers, these are actually also reading on the platform, which is an amazing thing, because on many platforms, people don't read anymore. People spend about 10 minutes on the platform reading, which is incredible. And let's say this would be whatever, like 3 minutes for yours. Tell me another platform where someone would actually be spending 3 minutes with you. This is amazing. Maybe on YouTube, but TikTok is for short, just for short form stuff and co. But here you really have, for instance, Caroline. You could click on Caroline. You could check out Caroline. We're going to talk about the profile versus the publication in a sec. And then you could, for instance, find out more about Caroline, and then you could become a subscriber for Caroline's publication. And the cool thing is, with notes, again, people can then, total like strangers, can discover you. Almost nobody uses that third part well, and that's your unfair advantage in 2026. But we're going to talk about this later. The part I really want you to hear is, on a lot of platforms, they make the money off your writing. For instance, on Medium, I would pay $5. This would go into a pot, and then from this pot, people would also pay me based on reading time. They are changing now the metrics all the time, and how they pay writers. However, on Substack, you really keep the money. When you charge for subscriptions, Substack takes about 10% plus a small fee. And this is the cool thing. Some people call it like the Substack tax. Yeah, you can call it that way if you like to. I have an overview for you where you can see this, the payment breakdown. So let's say someone, for instance, would pay you $5. I would pay $5, gonna say, Christina, I'm opening my wallet for you. I love you so much. Then you can see the fees. This is here. The fee is, for instance, 95 cents. And then we have here also Stripe processing fee, Substack application fee, and stuff. And then the net amount is maybe $4. This is one of the reasons why most now somehow try to get as many annual subscribers as possible, because then also when it comes to the taxes, even if you have just a teeny tiny Substack, it's always better than just going with these $5 or just $4 per month. The cool thing really is, what you can see is like the Substack tax is only 10%. So you're gonna give them 10%, but you can keep these 90%, which is incredible. Thinking about, for instance, the top 5 publishers in the world or so, who would only take 10%, who would do this? You are getting these 90%, which I think is incredible. And this is why I think especially amazing when we're thinking about all the built-in tools I showed you. So Substack only makes money when you do. And the biggest thing is, you are not building followers. You'd lose in an algorithm. change, for instance, on Instagram or on Facebook, where many are telling me this now. You're building an email list, real people you can take with you anywhere, anytime. You don't rent the audience, you own it. This is called rented land. Rented land. So you leave like the rented land and you're going to go on your own land. You build your own house. And as someone who's building her own house right now, I know how amazing this is, but I also know how much work this is with the windows, with the door, with the floor, the bathtub, all the decisions you have to make. And similar it is with Substack. I always say you can make Substack your home on the internet streets, based, of course, on first making it a house. So today we want to zoom out and talk about the house, how you can make Substack your house. But for this, of course, you need to know. So many people are talking about Substack, or maybe also me. I would be standing at a party or event with you and I would be talking about Substack. So next time you can really know and add a bit more to the discussion and can say, yeah, I watched this video, I'm going to start it, or I tried it, So you don't rent the audience, you own it. And if you don't have a website, Substack can only be a website. One less thing to build, which I think is amazing because Substack wants to become like this one-stop shop. Quick thing, if this is already clicking, hit subscribe so the rest of the setup is easy to find later. So, boom, boom. Okay, back to it. Now the one thing that confuses every beginner, it confused me too when I started back in 2022. There are two separate things on Substack, and once you see it, you can't unsee it anymore. Thing one is your profile. This is you. You can only be one person on Substack. So for instance, if we're gonna check out mine, this is Christina God, this is my profile, and that is me as a human. This is my face, this is my name, this is my bio. It follows me everywhere like your profile on any social app. Thing two is you also have a publication, and this publication, this is your magazine, your real estate on the internet. So this is me with my magazine, and this is me with my profile. You always in 2026 have to think about the reader experience, especially in the app, since about 60% of the subscribers on Substack now here using a smartphone, using the app. And this is why it's so important in 2026 to think about both, like the publication and your profile page, okay? So please, 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 please write this down, tattoo this, okay? Because it's so important. So you have your profile. There's only one you here on Substack. It would be Christina God. So the best thing that can happen is that you get it, like you have Christina God, and you also have a handle, your social handle, how people can then find you and type you and mention you. So this would be at Christina God, and then this would be me, my photo, and this is how people would find me, Christina God, for also my personal brand, of course. But then there is my newsletter, and I don't want to spoil too much, but I also thought back then I thought I would be like smart to go with my own name, like Christina God's newsletter, Christina's newsletter. I thought this would be smart. It wasn't smart. And even like super big person on Substack, she also told me, this is the worst thing you could do. Go with your own newsletter or your own newsletter name, your Christina God or whatever. Let's say Leila Homosi could do this. She's not doing this with her letters. Let's say James Clear could do this. He's not doing this with the 1, 2, 3 letters. Let's say, I don't know who could do this. Maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger also, but definitely not me with just a small audience on Medium, then coming to Substack. And then let's say doing nothing in the beginning on Substack, as I also was just like, let's say, talking about Substack, but and knew the potential of Substack, but I wouldn't have the time to really go all in on the platform. So you have both your magazine with your name, logo, homepage, and the navigation bar. It's where your writing actually lives. Simple way to remember it is the person runs the magazine. This is the one, as in a magazine, top tier magazine in America or in Germany, in Europe. And while we're here, I think it's very important to also talk about the profile photo and all the other things you can then set up once you get on Substack. So to get on Substack first, I'm going to show you this in incognito mode. You would go on substack.com, super easy. Then Substack would already educate you on that you can make money doing the work you believe in. They are changing this all the time. Now they say make money doing the work you believe in. Somehow it's similar to the motto I have for the Online Writing Club and everything I do. Get paid to be you. Get paid to be you. Make money doing the work you believe in. So yeah, there's definitely an overlap. This is why it's still my top platform in 2026. What you can do now is you can say, you know what, I'm going to log in, I'm going to start my own Substack, and then you would here enter your email address and then agree the Substack's terms of use, and then you would get some questions, for instance, what you are interested in. For instance, you would be interested in home and garden, you would be interested in design and stuff, and then they're asking you also about the name, so you're going to give it a name. My recommendation is if you are already pretty clear on the name, you can go with the specific name, but if you are not, then try to go with your own name here if you're gonna name your publication baby. So when we now already are on the platform and we have already set up our account, I can show you this with the publication that I created with the gardening mind from Joe Thompson. You then would gonna see this here, getting started, congratulations on setting up your Substack, let's get you set up for success. And then there are lots and lots of things from Substack, which they're gonna tell you what you should do. For now, as we don't want to feel overwhelmed, don't do it, okay? Don't do it. So we're gonna go back to my profile, and what you're gonna see there is that, for instance, this profile photo is super teeny tiny, okay? And it's everywhere. You're gonna see this. It's on notes. It's also on your newsletter. It's in your direct messages. We have chat. And so this is why it's super important to use a clear headshot. It needs to be crisp. And also, I wouldn't recommend, for instance, inserting text or so, but some are doing this also. Some are, for instance, adding some movement where you have like a GIF doing like something like this. And this way you can also, let's say, add some movement and maybe also get some more subscribers and more eyeballs on your content as you are like doing this movement stuff or so. This is something that you can do, for instance, with your profile photo. Most important thing is it needs to be crisp. I already told you about like this spoiler where I said I wouldn't name the publication after yourself. With my publication, it's called the Online Writing Club. The Online Writing Club, it's called for a reason, because I said when I started on Substack, I was writing about parenting. I was writing about marketing, as I'm a marketing and brand manager. Then I was talking more about the creator industry, about mompreneurship, how to make money online. And at some point, I started zooming out and creating more meta stuff where I had the feeling I wanted to educate people because, for instance, on Medium wasn't so transparent as a platform. Substack is way more transparent. However, there are lots of features, all the bells and whistles nobody has a clue about. And if you're bringing this all together, I believe 100% you can grow 100 subscribers and 2,000 subscribers and 10,000 subscribers within months. Okay, this is how it works. It's just like learning it and then doing it your way. So there's no like right way to do it. So you're gonna learn this then over the course of time. So when it comes to your newsletter, for me, this would be the Online Writing Club, as this would be my umbrella brand. And under this umbrella brand, I said, you know what, it is gonna be about online writing with all the facets of online writing, which would mean blogging, for instance, copywriting, now, of course, the newsletter, and for also websites and scripts, maybe for YouTube, all of this. Now we have, of course, also writing with AI and so on. But it would also mean one big pillar of this is monetizing your work, which is very important. My husband always told me, Christina, you need to monetize your work. So at some point I did this when I was earning about $1,000 on Medium. This was the moment where I said, you know what, I'm not going to put all eggs in one basket. I'm going to start my email list. Then I became pregnant, and then it was not so easy for me to, let's say, keep up the good work, and publish on a daily basis. However, I'm not just interested in online writing per se. It's not one specific, let's say, niche or so. It's more like monetizing, really earning money on the internet, online writing, and of course, a huge part of it is newsletter. We also talk about indie publishing, and we're going to talk, of course, about publishing and becoming publishing deals with bigger publishers, top 5 publishers. With the podcast, for instance, where I'm bringing all these rising voices, but also these amazing New York Times bestsellers, sometimes also indie publishers who then became New York Times bestsellers. This is why, for instance, I picked the Online Writing Club to have like this umbrella. Again, don't go with your own name, except you're going to say, Christina, I'm already like famous on Instagram, as we had some, or on TikTok, for instance. So don't name your publication after yourself unless you are famous. Okay, this is very important, because otherwise you're going to vanish. Nobody understands this. And also when we're talking about the navigation bar at the top of your page, this is really prime real estate. Most people waste here. I would really put your best stuff here, because you can put anything here you you want. So for instance, if you have other socials, I have my YouTube channel. I'm linking to my YouTube. If you have a chat already opened, you can add the chat. If you have a podcast, you can add the podcast. If you have a course, you can put the course. If you have workshops, if you're going to say, you know what, I'm offering coachings. If you have specific lead magnets or stuff, you can put them here. And then super new, we also have the perks. And yeah, this is very important before you think about getting started on Substack. Also have this in mind, all the amazing things you can build here. The biggest growth lever is really your positioning. So I want you to tattoo this on your brain. If your Substack is for everyone, it's really for no one. This is what many say. However, also with the Online Writing Club is an umbrella brand, which is a bit bigger. I did this because I was clear on that I wouldn't want to go just with this one thing there. For instance, just writing about Substack or just writing about Medium on a meta level, for instance, or you would say, hey, I just want to write just about fishing. I also want to write about gardening and design. And yeah, so the most important thing really is that it's not too vague, okay? So people understand what it is. If people understand it, then they're gonna get it. I think the best thing you always can do is to reverse engineer what's already happening, what's working, and seeing what others are doing. So you're going to see that they have a specific, unique sending proposition. They have a specific positioning. And I totally get like the urge to say broad so you don't limit yourself. This is totally normal. Similar maybe to me with the Online Writing Club. I don't tell you this is like perfect. It works for me, but I bet for you, if you're niching down a bit more, then it's working even better. However, I want to show you, you can niche down at the same point, also adding all the interests you have. Let's say not too much, but it can be like fishing, design, and home and gardening if there is a fit and if there is an overlap. With broad, again, it doesn't keep your options open. It keeps you maybe invisible. So always my recommendation is to get specific. I can show you some examples so you better understand what I mean. So the first thing I want to show you is the Explore page. Let me go up again. Yeah. So this is the Explore page. Is always substack.com/explore. And here on the Explore page, you're going to get like the latest news and the things that people are talking about on Substack. So you're going to see here the new bestsellers and all the categories. We now have new categories. We have 31 categories now. So Substack shipped 2 more categories. One of these categories is, for instance, the one I want to pick and to show you. And this is home and garden. I think home and garden is a wonderful category. I love. Now, of course, interior design and also gardening, as I am building my own house and I have my own garden now. And for instance, we can see already Jo Thompson here. I think she's really like the one you have to check out. The scent, here you can see this. Oh, wow, you're already like getting like this slice of life, this glimpse into her life as a garden designer. So what you can do is, again, you can then check out in the specific category you want to write about, okay, what are actually others are doing? Because when we're going to go, for instance, with Jo Thompson, she has like this credibility proof already here. So she's telling us this is the reason why I should sign up for her, because she says she is a garden designer, RHS Chelsea Flower Show gold medal winner and author, sharing with you everything I've learned. So let's go with the first one. She's going to tell us the cred stamps, so you can be very specific. So for instance, I could say, I know marketing or so, but I could also say I help 500 companies double their email open rates as an example. So you can be very specific. Or for instance, I said always like journalist turned part-time Substack writer. And then someone said, Christina, what about your job? You're an actual brand and marketing manager and even an award-winning marketing manager. And I said, well, you're right. So I somehow also had to edit this. Then, for instance, Jo, she has a weekly newsletter. And in the weekly newsletter, she's sharing with you everything she has learned about gardens, garden designs, and gardening. I'm always delighted to discover fuss-free ways to do stuff. She is, since I last checked this out, always tweaking this. So she's also making this better, although she belongs already to the top of the pops here. And she has an orange badge, meaning she has thousands of paid subscribers. And she's going to go with these weekly newsletters. And this is something tangible for people. And she has a clear name and a subtitle that says exactly what they get. So for her, it's the Gardening Mind. This is her profile. This is Jo Thompson on Substack. But if you're going to check this out, it's the Gardening Mind for thoughtful gardeners. So this is my number one example. I love to go with. I love this combo because it does most of your selling before anyone reads a word. Okay, so the gardening mind for thoughtful gardeners. Okay, this is me. I'm a thoughtful gardener. So now we want to set it up, okay? Please follow along with me. Quick heads up. Substack moves its buttons. So if I'm showing you something, and you might then see something's an inch from where I point. Please don't panic. It's the same step. You're going to find it, okay? So now, again, I showed you how you can create your account. So you're going to go on substack.com. You clicked on sign up, and then you would insert your email, and then you would have already like your account already. Everything is done. Then it's gonna drop you somewhere like here with the one with Joe Thompson I showed you. From here then, Substack would tell you what you would have to do. So what I did was I was rebuilding for my Substack for Beginners course this one here from the Gardening Mind somehow to show, like to reverse engineer how Joe Thompson is doing this. So to also show you now how to do this, but in a very like short and sweet way. So first off, you would go into your dashboard. This would be /publish/home. So it would be your subdomain.substack.com/publish/home. And you would open your dashboard, and there you would then go and see in your home here what Substack prompts you to do. For now, everything is fine. We don't need to do anything. We want now to keep going. So the first thing we're gonna do then is that we would go into this and we would say, you know what, I would now like to edit my profile picture. Again, this is me. Even if I have multiple Substack newsletters, it's still me, but I would click on it and then I would come here and you can see, for instance, me, Christina Gott, number 5 rising in international, which is cool. Apparently I'm rising now at the moment, which means that I'm gaining more paid subscribers. It's all about paid subscribers when it comes to rising. And this would be the profile. Of course, this would be like a blank page, but for me now, you can see this. So this is me. This is my profile picture. You might remember the one I had before. It was just like boring, super boring. Let's call it like this. And so my hubby and I, we said, you know what, we need like a specific highlight color. And this is why I picked this one. We're going to go with this, let's say, magenta style, because it also works pretty well with the orange from Substack. And then I'm Christina Gott. What's very important here is I'm also adding my credentials. So if you are an actual PhD, you are a medical doctor, whatever you have, put it here. It's very important in this AI age, where for instance, you could also just prompt this. And if AI would have already like somehow the transcript of this video could easily also create this video, maybe even just, you know what, I would have here my digital twin here, and you could also be now educated by this digital twin. But for now, again, this is why the credentials are so important. So if you are, for instance, have a master's degree, you have a bachelor's degree, you have an MBA, as I have, because I studied journalism, and then later, while working full-time at Edelman, the biggest agency in the world, I also did my master thesis, my MBA, in marketing and online marketing and dialogue marketing. And you can see this here. This is why, oops, I'm not going with BAM, but BAM would also be cool. I'm going with MBA here. For the handle is very important because the handle, the social handle, is the one how people can search you. So for instance, if I would like to mention you, for instance, Sarah Rowe or so, then I would need to know your handle. Sometimes we can see this, that someone does not have the same name in the handle. So if your handle is available, go with your name. This would be then Christina Gott in my case. Then when we're going to talk about the bio here, it's very important that you gonna go here and explain, maybe gonna go with the problem solution. This is just one of many. So you know the problem, you know the solution, and this is what you tell them. So I, for instance, I know it's hard to get started writing on the internet. I know it's hard getting started writing an email list or starting an email list. And this is why I say, I help you start, grow, monetize your writing an email list. And I'm the journalist turned marketing pro and part-time Substack top 15 international bestseller with 2 kids in the house. Yeah, I could also go with very specific outcomes. You know, I have more than 1,000 people growing and scaling their Substack to whatever, like 80,000 plus, 40,000 plus or so annual recurring revenue. It could be very specific. This is how I'm doing this. I don't tell you this is perfect. Again, I would go on the explore page and reverse engineer what others in your specific category are doing. Then the next one would be the branding. This is also something you have already here in the profile. So if you are already clear on what your Substack publication is going to be, the name of the publication, then you can here insert the header image. You can also go with a specific accent color. So you can say, you know what, I, for instance, love the color green, or I love a great turquoise, or I love orange or whatever. So you're going to pick it. For me, this is this magenta. And then you can also, for instance, go with the background color, but I would be a bit careful with this. Then you can also add your social links. But again, this is just short and sweet. We could talk about this for hours. This is the thing, how you could set up your profile. And then you would click on done and everything would be fine. Again, very important is here to go with something that people can actually see. And again, you could also go, for instance, with something like moving or so. This is also pretty cool. Again, if you don't have for your publication, for instance, a branding or so, it's fine. But what people really need in this AI age is to see your face. And so my recommendation really is that you have here already your face included. Now I wanted to show you with the draft publication how to set this up. So we would go in this draft publication, we would click on settings, and there we would now give it a name. So let's say for the word mark, we would have already like set a specific name, but here also without having anything visualized or so in the design tool Canva or so, it's totally fine. And what you would need to do here is, for instance, you would then say, you know what, the publication name is, in this case, The Gardening Mind. And if you would like to include your name one more time for the personal branding idea, then you can go, for instance, by Katrina Samos or so. Then the short description, a single sentence that succinctly explains what your publication is about. There are multiple ways to do this. One of them is just you have the problem, you know the problem, the pain point, and you have the solution. You're explaining this and you add your credibility stamps to it. And also when it comes now to AI and search engine optimization and stuff, so you're going to be findable, searchable on the internet streets, then it's very important that somehow this year is the one that is going to be reflected on all the socials. So don't tell on Instagram something different than you're going to tell people on Substack. This would be the recommendation. When we're going to talk about the publication logo, you can see this. You make this in 256 times 256 pixels. So you would simply click on this, click on upload the image, and then you would pick the image and put the image in this. The language, if you are from Spain, for instance, you can also say, you know what, I would like to have this in Espanol, or I would like to have this in Polski, or here Italiano, or whatever you would like to pick. For now, we would go with English UK, apparently. I don't know why it's English UK, but let's go with English in this case. Now we have the categories. I told you we have 31 categories in the show notes. You can grab the free overview of all the categories because you can be strategic about the categories in 2026. Pick it, grab it. Okay, my friend, do this. And there you can then select the two categories. So we have the primary category. This is the one where you can be showing up in the leaderboard that I showed you, where, for instance, Joe Thompson is showing up. And then in addition, we also have, of course, the secondary publication. We're going to go on the explore one more time, and I'm going to show you this so you have a better understanding for this. So we're going to go into this here real time. There you can see my hubby, Patrick. For instance, if we're going to go in design as an example, you can see here rising in design. And rising in design, this means that at the moment, Amanda, Christopher, Eleanor and Chelsea, they are rising, meaning they are gaining new paid subscribers. And then we have the top bestsellers. These would be the ones where I would say, you know what, check them out because they have apparently found something, a niche, a category, something that works. Chelsea, here she is, ranking 36, and she's also rising. There is apparently something about Chelsea that is working. And if we're going to go, for instance, into international, you can then see, okay, for instance, me here, I'm rising in this Bestsellers International, and you can also see me here, top 14. So this is what I'm talking about when we're talking about bestsellers, and this is why the categories are so important, because the categories, this is where you can put them, so you can then in a few weeks or so, be, for instance, rising in a specific category. This starts when you have one paid subscriber, 2 or 3 or 4 in a specific time frame, then you can be rising. So the first category is the one where you can then become a rising superstar and or a bestseller, an overall bestseller with 100 paid subscribers as an example. So you would, for instance, go with, let's say, the first category would be education. In the past, you could rotate through this. Now you can't rotate through this anymore. This just means that the primary category would be the category where you would be ranking in. Then after this, you, of course, would have to somehow connect your Substack with your Stripe, because this is the number one thing I always recommend doing. And yeah, then of course, you can then talk about the money stuff and so on. But before we're going to do this, I want to tell you about something that I really, really love. And this is the part that many people are missing. This is the part that I said in the beginning would be it when it comes to recommendations and stuff. And then you click on recommendations. And at the moment, apparently, we are not recommending anyone. Help your subscribers find other great Substacks by recommending your favorites. So the idea here is you can be growing 40% by just recommending others. This just means you're endorsing others, you're helping others, and they might be reciprocate this. Okay, this is the idea. So what I definitely would do is I would click on add recommendation, and then you can here say, you know what, Substack to recommend. And this is now where you have to add, you click on add. Then you would, for instance, go with Christina God as an example. You would say, you know what, I like Christina so much. I would like to recommend the Online Writing Club. If you're going to do this, then I'm definitely going to recommend you back to help you grow, because whenever someone subscribes to me, it could happen that Substack is also then showing your name and people could also be subscribing to you. The best thing you can then do is to add a blurb here, so you can tell people the reason for why you are recommending me. So for instance, Christina she's the Substack queen. She's the Substack queen, something like this. Whatever fits whatever you like. This is one of them. This is recommendations. When we also talk about, of course, the notes feed. Let's go back to the notes feed. This would be the next. So my recommendation is, and we're going to scroll down to her here, to Caroline again. The recommendation is, as you can see this from Caroline, it's really worthwhile being on Substack Notes, as this is also an amazing driver of growth. With so many of the Online Writing Club members, I now see this, that Substack Notes becomes the number one driver. So now let's tell me, recommendations bringing you in 40%, and then you have notes bringing you in, let's say 50%. You know what I mean? Like, this is on autopilot working everything. Of course, I have dedicated videos about this, but I just want to tell you how important this is and how Caroline Clark is, for instance, doing this. If you're going to go here, you can see the feed. You're going to see the long form posts and all the short form posts as well. And she's posting like something about her husband, about her dog, something that she's here trying with AI and stuff. So yeah, you really see, you get a slice of her life. You see what she's doing, and then you can scroll through the feed, and then you can say, you know what, after reading whatever, like 6 to 7 of her Substack Notes, I love her so much. I restacked so many of hers. I really love her. So now I'm going to, for instance, start recommending her or become, for instance, a subscriber. This is how people can find you, okay? Now, of course, we want to talk about how to make money eventually before we then going to talk about writing your post. For making money, the first thing I already said to you was that we want from day one, connect your Stripe account, which I think is very important. So we would go here on the dashboard, click on settings. We're going to scroll down. We would have now connected this to Stripe. And now we would say, you know what, for instance, I would take $8, $80. If you are, and this is the number one thing, of course, thinking about, you know, how much money can I actually make? How much money do people pay for me? Because here you have to set a monthly price and a yearly price and a founding member option. Monthly would mean that someone would pay, let's say, $5 per month. Annual would mean someone would pay $50 per year. And founding member would say $100 or so. And this person gets a 101 or gets the first chapter of your book, whatever it is. Again, switch it on day one. This is very important, even if everything is going to be free. However, there might be some people who simply by you posting on Substack Notes, as we saw, you might get 1,000 subscribers as her. This is crazy in just a few days through Substack Notes. And then you want to be prepared so people can actually say, I want to pay you. Also, if you're just starting and you're going to say, Christina, this is not for me, you can do pledging. So people can pledge their support. They can say, hey, you know what? The moment Christina is opening her Substack newsletter and gonna go paid, the moment I'm gonna also become a paid subscriber. And this is what it says here: allow readers to pledge subscriptions. So for instance, here the toggle is on. So I would allow people to pledge their subscriptions. And then the moment I turn on paid, this would be happening. When we're now talking about how much can I charge, I recommend this here. This is an overview of let's say data scraping of 75,000 newsletters. And you can see, for instance, sometimes we might be underestimating the power here. So we can say with the subscription model on Substack, you know what, I would like to get on a monthly basis, get paid $10. On a yearly basis, I'm going to go with $100. And my founding price could even be $300 or so. I think this is crazy. You can see this here, subscriber range. Let's say we're going to go with the first one. So let's say you have just 1,000 or less than 1,000 subscribers. You could go with 9 and 90 or 80. And then the founding member could already be 200, which I think is amazing. So you also see through the founding member, so people pay and they're going to say, you know what, I'm going to support you even more than the others. Here you can see that you are really earning money through this. Many people are here adding coaching calls, they're adding mini courses, they're adding specific events, boot camps, whatever it is. This can be also a book launch event. This can be specific behind the scenes. This can be access to the chat, whatever it is. This would be like the founding here. And then also, of course, we need specific paid perks for the monthly and the yearly. I think this is very important because, this is the number one thing that people are asking me about. And it's very important. Also, one thing that many people are missing out is the welcome page. So when we're going to go with the one here from Joe Thompson, then we're going to go on Joe Thompson. And then we're going to go on the subdomain.substack.com. And then we're going to go on welcome. Of course, I have prepared all of this already for you. So we would have here a photo from her in the garden, which I think is fine. This would be like the landing page where people actually would be coming to if they would like to subscribe to you. And then you see this here. Then we have the Gardening Mind by Joe Thompson. This would be like the name of it. And then here would be the explanation we saw already by Christina Gott. This is because this is just a draft, a dummy publication to show you this and educate you on this. And then also below this, there could be specific recommendations. You can see this, for instance, with the Online Writing Club, where you can see then the welcome that I have specific recommendations, for instance, from Brianna. She is a New York Times bestseller, coming from an indie publishing position, let's call it like this. Christina and the Online Writing Club is an incredible resource for writers who want to grow and monetize their writing newsletter. Highly recommend, as an example. So this is how it could look like. Very important to create this. Now, how do we create this? Luckily, Substack makes it pretty easy, I think, with the settings, because in the settings, there is everything. So we're gonna go back to the settings. The cool thing is we have the search bar on the left. We're gonna scroll down, and when we scroll down, we see here, oh my God, looking to edit your theme. This is what we want to do. So we click on edit theme, and of course I created this already for you. So what we can see here is we can then go through this and you can then just test it. You're going to see, for instance, the profile. Many are missing out on this. So when they are just getting started, they have just the profile live. This is not what we want, We want to create a publication on the internet. So we will click on custom. This is very important. We then decide on the accent, on the footer, on the secondary footer, whatever we want. And then we can also, for instance, go with the typography. We can then say what we want. For instance, we're going to go with Laura or so, whatever we want. And you can test it your way. We're zooming out here, so we're not going so deep into this. Then we, for instance, can also talk about the header. The header is now pretty cool. We can make it bigger. Just, grab it and then bigger. La, 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 la. I love it so much. This is cool. And I created this in Canva Magic Studio. You can also go into this like AI fused thing. What I simply did, I went on Canva. I was looking to somehow reverse engineer what Joe is doing. And I found this, and I think it is okay. It's not the same as the one that Joe has, but it's easily to recreate this. But just to show you how easy it is to set it up. And the same here for the flower icon. So we have the logo. This means we have text and we have also the flower, which is cool because the logo also shows up often. We were talking about the text already when it comes to a profile picture. So also in this case with the logo, you have to think how smart it is, but maybe you just have like a few words, which then is a fit. And we have the word mark, which shows like the word and the logo somehow, or the everything like visualized, that's called like this. So we have the gardening mind visualized as word mark. Then you can go with the layouts, since it's fine. I think it's fine. You again have to keep in mind the smartphone, because in the smartphone it doesn't care. You don't have to pay someone who's doing like all the branding for you, because it simply doesn't care. 60% are now on the app. We don't know how many in the future going to be in the app, but of course it's nice. I'm always at the desktop. I bet you also are at the desktop, but maybe while you're watching this, you are on your phone, So the cool thing here is you can go in standard. This is standard. You can go with wide. You see this is wider. We have the hamburger menu, and we can also go, for instance, inline here. And in addition, we can say we want the navigation to be text, or we want the navigation to be button. These are super small things. People are paying lots and lots of money for just showing you how to do this. You're just getting this in this. This is insane, Then we have the background color. You could also say, I would like to change the background color. Be a bit careful with the background color, because sometimes you have the feeling like, I can't see anything anymore, Also here with this magenta, I think is a bit, it's a bit hard maybe to read this with the green, but apparently it's working. So this is why we reverse engineer this. So again, we're going to go through this again. We have the homepage. We can say the header, like the first part of it, is something that we can then design. We have the hero. The hero is everything that is in here. Then we have the footer. We can also design the footer. We can say, in the footer, we want to repeat who we are. And we also want, for instance, to insert our socials as an example. And the welcome page I showed you, this is the one which I set up already. I would insert a photo. I would say, I want to show the name. I want to show the description. You can also here personalize the skip button. For instance, I'll come back to this, is something that Joe picked. And then you can go with specific custom colors, and you can go with specific background colors as well, which I think is already pretty cool, because often you're thinking, oh my God, what should you do? Did you pay someone to create this? No, she just went into the settings and went through all the settings, which I think is the best to do, because in the settings, you're going to find everything you need to know. Of course, I totally get you. You might then now be saying, Christina, I have no clue. Christina. Please help. I totally get this. So what I have is the Substack for Beginners course. And in the Substack for Beginners course, we meet every Friday live. And we also have an on-demand course. And the on-demand course, this is drip content. And we also add more if there is a new feature and stuff, and we need to talk about this. You also get one-on-one support, and we have these accountability buddies and stuff all included in the Substack for Beginners. So this would be the place to go if you're like, oh my God, Christina, I'm still feeling overwhelmed, which I totally get. So now, of course, we want to publish something. Publishing something is also something we can do from the dashboard. So we would click here on create. We would click on article. We also not just have article. If we're talking about the layers on Substack, we have an article, a text. We have a video. We have podcasts. We have audio. We also have live video, and we also now have a recording studio where we can even record on demand, which is insane when we're thinking about what's all included in this. As in the beginning, we were talking about the phone, where we can do some calls here on Substack. It's not a newsletter. It's so much more now. And we need to tell people more about this platform, as it's so amazing. Here is the editor. It's super easy to use. Maybe we can go back and I show you a post that I have already prepared for you. And maybe we're going to go with this one. So we have it here. Super easy. We're going to start. So first, it already asked me about the headline. So this would be like the headline. Christina, please insert a title. So this would be the title, how to create a romantic garden. The next one, it would ask me about a subtitle. So this would be the subtitle. Many are missing out on this and never ever add a subtitle. Then if you want to add an image, super easy. You click on the image icon, you click on image, and then you're going to say, I'm going to pick this specific photo here. And I'm going to insert this, click open, and then you have it ready. And then you start typing. And if you're wondering how you can format this, it's super easy. You go into the style. You can then say H1, H2, H3. You can also say, I want this bold, I want this italic, I want the strike through. You can do so many amazing things now. We have now the highlighting. They are adding every day new things. You can also, for instance, create a link and link to your book or your mini course. You can, if you want to, also here go with the voiceover and add the voiceover here in the beginning of the text, which is easy to do. You can also insert in a video, you can insert quotes. So let's say this would be a quote. You're going to go here and then you're going to say, you know what, I want to create a quote. And then we have bullets. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, so on. And of course, you can create buttons. Very easy. You will click on button and subscribe. You can also subscribe with caption explaining what the gardening mind is. And you can also, of course, customize all this. And this is all in your dashboard, and this is all in your posts, in your articles. This is how you do this. And of course, you're going to ask me, Christina, how can I paywall something? Paywalling something is super easy. Let's break it down for you. So let's say, for instance, you're going to say, you know what, this is the teaser. This is how I'm teasing people. And I would then click on more, and then I would click on then I would say, yeah, I can't paywall this because, this is not connected to Stripe. But usually I would then go here and then I would say paywall. Let's say this is the paywall. I click on divider and there is the paywall. So people who would be reading this would then actually hit the paywall here, which I think is cool because then people see exactly what they're going to get. And also you can, for instance, insert a table of contents where then people can get an overview and see exactly what they are missing out, like this FOMO, where they're going to see, oh my God, Christina, I want to know all of this. And this is why people then going to upgrade. And very important for everyone is, of course, you need to get started. I know that, I'm also, when I started, I also used to be I tried at least to be a perfectionist. Of course, I could never, ever be a perfectionist because I would do this as a non-native. So my English would never, ever be as good as from someone who is a native. Even if people always told me, oh, Christina, we love your voice and you're so good. You're talking like someone in New York City. Of course, this is super nice hearing all this. You know what I mean? But it's still not the same. Maybe at some point, I really, really want to live in America one day, at least for a few years, to just you know what I mean? Inhale this whole American spirit, as I love all this good vibes and main character energy that is there compared to Germany. However, now with 2 kids in the house, it's not so easy to leave everything behind. We just move back to the family. So this is how I'm doing this. So the thing is really, please, as we always say, that it exists beats really a flawless post every time. You know, it's really important. This is the way how you can grow with every new post that you're sending out there. This is amazing. And this is what I want you. I want you to hit publish. I want you to hit publish. Okay. This is the strongest magnet you can create to the platform, that you can say, you know what, I have this amazing post here. Please check it out. No matter where you are, whether you are writing on notes, whether you're recommending others, it's always good to build this library because it is about long form. We were talking, for instance, about recommendations. Another thing I can tell you is we also have collaborations. So what people can do is they can, for instance, become guest posts. You can do live streams with others. You can do podcast swaps. The fastest growth on this platform happens really with other people and not alone. So we're not writing in silos anymore as in the past. Of course, others now are also doing this, for instance, with Kit, adding all these new features where we now have lives and stuff and we can see exactly who our subscribers are and so on. But this is just the way it is, and it's improving, and it's always improving for the networking effects, which I love. So you can really check out others. You can go into the direct messages, and you can, for instance, ask someone for a collab. Maybe I can go into my direct message and show you this. So for instance, here, also people are reaching out to me, asking me for a collab, and I can also, for instance, use the chat, asking people questions. You can see 22 replies, which is amazing. So here you have really this one-to-many any conversation in the chat where we can then still talk just in us subscribers. Everyone who's subscribed can join the chat. And with the direct messages, you have the one-on-one conversation here. So for instance, Ashley has a question, Steve has a question, Nanette is asking something, Mary is asking something, Val, Jeffrey, and so on and so on. So this is really the cool thing. So you have not just like this one-to-many, but you have also this one-on-one conversation going, which is, of course, the best. There are lots and lots of more things and bells and whistles, of course, when it comes to the Substack platform. However, now you have a great overview and it should super easy to start. Again, you would go on substack.com and hit publish today. You would start your publication and then you would start your profile, which is there's only one you on the internet there on Substack. You would start your publication. Then later after you would have started your profile where you are as a human there. And then you have your publication with a specific name. You give it a name and you're going to say, you know what, I'm also maybe adding some visuals to it. So we really have an amazing look and feel. And after you did that, the next thing would be that you're going to start recommending others. You're going to set up the welcome page and you're also going to look for collab partners where you then, for instance, could go live on Substack. You could do videos. You could do so many amazing things. Guest posting is also super easy. I would just add you to my online writing club and then you could, for instance, publish a guest post. The same you could do with me. So you're adding me to your publication and then I could write a guest post for you. It's amazing. This is what the network effects are all about, so that you always bring not just you, but your whole network. And then you are collaborating with someone, really saying, you know what, I'm Christina God. I'm having these 18,000 subscribers and these more than 30,000 readers. And there is definitely a huge window of opportunity to be seen by my audience. And even if it's just a small percentage, it's even more than you would get otherwise. So even if you're just starting with a teeny tiny list or you have 0 subscribers, you never know where this person is. Maybe just a little anecdote to close this. I started, for instance, let's say a year back with someone and she said, you know what, Christina, I have no clue. I think I need to quit after a few weeks or so. I don't know what I'm doing. Totally get this, feeling overwhelmed. Totally fine. She joined one of the boot camps, still overwhelmed, blah, blah. We were in contact via direct messages, this one-on-one conversation. We also had some phone calls, and also I think we were connected via WhatsApp. And then one day she sent me a message telling me, Christina, you know what? I think one of my notes went viral. And through this one note, she gained, I think, 5,000 subscribers. And then there was the next one, gaining new subscribers. And now she is picking the features that are working for her. Of course, like setting up this house with the profile page and the publication. This was like the basis and the foundation. But now she's really picking the pieces she needs. Sometimes she's going to go live. Sometimes she's going to go do this and that. She is using the paywall the way she wants. You know what I mean? She's thinking about the pricing structure. Maybe she's going to go with a specific offer. But the most important thing is really getting started and then writing for a few weeks and really from day one, turning on that paid button so people from day one can support you. So if this is something for you and you're going to say, you know what, Christina, I love this so much. I would so much love to join you. Then the Substack for Beginners course is for you. It is included in the Online Writing Club membership as an annual member. And we meet every Friday. So already like here, the clock is ticking. We meet every Friday where I'm going to ask, or you're going to ask all your questions. I'm going to ask what happened this week, what changed, and what questions you have. And I'm going to answer all of it. And of course, we're going to dig deeper into the paid perks, beefing up the paid perks, what you can offer. Also, if it's about mini courses or whatever you have, going beyond subscriptions, which I think is super important. If you're going to say this Substack for beginners, the Substack for dummies helped you a little bit at least, this would be amazing. It wasn't boring, it wasn't boring, Christina. This would be fine already. Please hit subscribe because here, you're definitely gonna see more of this, all the latest news, all the latest features that Substack is gonna ship. And you see, this is just like one shot. One shot. If you love this and you're going to say, I also want to support this, Christina's doing this part-time. This is a one shot. She's doing this before. She's going to pick up the kids. I love this. All the part-time moms, all the part-time dads, everyone doing this part-time, all the dreamers, all the builders are welcome. Okay. Hit subscribe. I wish you a wonderful day. See you in the next video and make sure to check out onlinewritingclub.com and also substackforbeginners.com. And then see you in one of the live sessions and also inside the course. Wish you all the best. Viele Grüße an alle. See you und tschüss.